What's up, investors? It's the Russian dude. A few days back, a small regional podcast from Tomsk escalated into national scandal, landing host Daria Cherdantseva and realtor Marina Orlova in court for joking about finding yourself a soldier who wants to fight in Ukraine, marrying him, waiting for him to be eliminated, and just pocketing 8 million rubles in death money. Rinse and repeat for as long as you want, nobody's gonna care anyways. Thousands are dying every single day, so why not take advantage of just a couple of them, right? They won't care anyways. Their seemingly harmless conversation about life's absurd shortcuts earned them 85 and 80 hours of community service respectively for investigating hate, fraud, and humiliation of human dignity. And their heartfelt apologies with tears in their eyes absolutely did not help. The original episode was obviously deleted from the internet, and the Russian authorities tried to erase all the mentions of it. But as we all know, rule number one of the internet is that once something appears online, that's it, it is forever there. It personally, for example, took me like 20 seconds to find this podcast.
Который служит на СВО, он погибает, и ты получаешь 8 миллионов.
But the real scandal is not the joke, even though every joke has a small part of truth in it. It is the fact that this grim statement is part of everyday Russian reality 3 years into a war that has shredded any resemblance of morality. We've got pipeline scams that rival the mafia, state TV that shouts murder and misogyny by day and quietly admits war crimes by night, when nobody is watching obviously, and then an entire underworld scheme devoted to turning grief into gold. So today, guys, let's explore this grotesque carnival of immorality, how truth is criminalized, how Black Widow schemes have become a profitable multi-million industry, how Slavy of Life promotes both indecency and taboo revelations, and how armed gangs are forcing vulnerable men into one-way tickets to the front lines. Could also this all be connected and intertwined in the end? Well, let's try to figure this all out. Isn't it astonishing that recounting an immoral scheme now counts as extremist propaganda? And this is Putin's Russia we're talking about, a country which a leader does not want to stop the war and thousands of men dying daily, just because he did the whoopsie, he doesn't know what to do now, just because his regime will be endangered, and just because he prefers deadly stability to prosperity of his own country and its people. Oh, but okay, let's get back to this notorious podcast. Cherdantseva and Orlova did not accuse anyone of wrongdoings. They simply discussed how some women marry soldiers to collect death payouts. They did not even do it themselves. It was just a random burst of thought, which even they most likely realized as too much, and that it should have been edited out before uploading the final version of their conversation to the internet. But for some reason, well, they decided to still keep it. Was it just plain and simple rage bait? Did they think that such an outrageous statement will make people talk about them and bring popularity to their show? Well, maybe. Or was it just an honest and innocent mistake? There is a possibility. Yet, Article 354.1 of the Criminal Code of Russia, which supposedly targets extremist calls for violence, was brought up against them. But this was not just offensive or dangerous opinion, what they said, however horrible it sounds. It was plain and simple exploitation of immoral loopholes in the system that the regime of Putin created itself. They wanted to turn war into business. Well, they did it by offering millions of rubles to soldiers and incredible benefits to their families. Of course, there will be people at some point who would want to take advantage of this easy money. It is just that most of them, well, they would do it quietly because they know that whatever they are doing was wrong. They did not record a podcast for thousands of people to listen. But it all does not matter, because in Putin's Russia, acknowledging uncomfortable truths can land you in court no matter what, as long as the state considers you uncomfortable person. Consider the irony. Authorities erased the episode as if suppressing inconvenient fact could restore public faith. Instead, they have spread the idea that reality itself is a crime. When the regime can sanction a podcast for revealing a business plan built on corpses, what hope there is for genuine journalism? Independent outlets have long been silenced, with license revoked and editors jailed. And now, even a light-headed chat about who gets the bag when your husband gets split into atoms is now, well, apparently it is a prosecutable offense. The message is chillingly clear. Speak only when Kremlin gives you a script, and do not even think about straying away from the approved narrative, even if that narrative is a grotesque lie. And make no mistake, it is a lie. 3 years ago, officials promised a quick demilitarization of Ukraine, and today, Russia's male population is declining. Villages in Siberia, for example, report as much as 30% drop in working-age men, and entire districts teeter on demographic collapse. Imagine every third of your male friends is now forever gone. Yet denial is the state's default setting. By criminalizing podcasters, the Kremlin hopes we will all pretend there is no disaster, no profiteering on patriotic sacrifice, and certainly no policy failure. But this farce is failing, one silenced voice at a time. Enter the Black Widows, women who have turned to a twisted side hustle. The basic playbook is diabolically simple. Marry a soldier with no close relatives, wait for him to die at the front line, then claim the government's death gratuity. Usually between 4 to 10 million rubles. Repeat it for as long as you want, or for as long as you can. Some clever businesswomen even orchestrate multiple marriages in a row with little to no downtime. I know 3 husbands, 3 funerals, 3 payouts. That's like 24-30 million rubles acquired through state-sanctioned life insurance on a human body. On Slavyev Live, this phenomenon is treated like a folk tale. Presenter Anastasia Kashivarova displays moral shock over a woman who lost 3 spouses. Yet, the underlying tone is business as usual. The scandal is not that lives are being traded for payouts. It is that someone got caught. Meanwhile, the audience, deprived of daily doses of hatred, tunes in just for juicy and scandalous details. Was she in love? Did she cry? And where did she even spend her next vacation? Using this money. The real crime apparently is not the exploitation of death benefits, but the audacity of the women to show off their winnings. Why does this matter beyond grim fascination? Because these Black Widow tales legitimize a broader culture of wartime profiteering. If death can be merchandised, if marriage vows can be reduced to clauses in a financial contract, then what is left of human dignity? Simple as that. In the hushed corridors of regional administrations, rumors swirl of military officials quietly approving such schemes. After all, death gratuities are paid out of the defense ministry budget, not from their own budgets. Which means bureaucrats have a perverse incentive to keep the front lines full of eligible candidates. That is not a conspiracy theory. At this point, it is just a pure, cold, simple math. Slavyev Live TV show launched on April 7, 2022. He had his propagandistic TV show before that, but in this new one, he was broadcasting live, answering questions and replying to people in the comment section, who sometimes just, well, plainly trolled him. That's why it's called Slavyev Live. The other one is called Evening, with Vladimir Slavyev. Its twofold mission is, first, to brutalize public discourse by unleashing racist slurs, sexist comments, and open calls for violence. For example, there was a viewer named Laura who dared to ask why destroyed Russian Armata tanks were not shown on TV in this Slavyev Live TV show. In response, Slavyev insulted her Ukrainian husband, somehow he knew she married Ukrainian, with blue and yellow manhood jokes and told her to just stick to the kitchen. That level of vile content sends the template for Channel 1 and Russia 1, the biggest TV channels in Russia. And Slavyev is personally awarded also, by the way, by Putin for exceptional skills in journalism. But beneath the house of obscenity lies Slavyev Live's second, much more hidden purpose: to chip away the dark aspects of reality, strip away the taboos, and then distribute these carefully created snippets to the rest of state's media. When reports of an amputee veterans forced back into combat circulate among anti-war bloggers in 2023, the mainstream media obviously stayed quiet. It took Slavoj Life nearly 2 years, only in early 2025, when did they mutter a grudging admission about half-blind soldiers forced back into assaults. But by then, dozens had already died under bandaged wounds, and the story was already old news that nobody even simply cared about. Even more insidious is how they frame these revelations. Instead of outrage, presenters just shrug and say, well, we all know war is ugly, what can we do about it? Nothing, right? What they are doing is normalizing atrocities, transforming horror into background noise, so that when the state turns an empty field into a 1,000 spots graveyard, the comprehension of the people, of the public, will be tragedy, not crime. Citizens tuning in night after night grow numb, and the moral bar drops even lower. How else can you sell tens of thousands of conscripts on the notion that sacrifice is noble, while casually mentioning women who bag 6 million rubles of each corpse? If Black Widows are a relatively new industry, there is a full-blown crime syndicate operating in the Far East. Picture this. Recruiters comb through remote villages looking for single men with no close family ties, such as orphans, divorcees, the chronically ill, or even alcoholics. And then these persuasive teams promise them easy money, a hero's welcome, and maybe even a shot at patriotism. They drag them to the enlistment office, force them into signing contracts, sometimes under intimidation, sometimes with a bottle of vodka shoved under their nose, and that's it, their job is done. Then the real scheme kicks in. Some recruiters actually cooperate with unit commanders. And yes, I'm talking about the very same commanders who brag about discipline measures, which is basically a fancy way of saying nullifying your own soldiers and just pocketing their money. New recruits disappear on the front lines KIA with just little fuss. It happened, so what to worry about? It's war. Their families, if they exist, get official notifications saying eliminated in the line of duty, and the death gratuities are funneled straight to the officers and scammers. In one notorious case, a 46-year-old gardener from the Primorsky Krai was tricked into service, married off to a 63-year-old retiree, and then just got eliminated days later. She and her partner split the benefits while local authorities just looked the other way, like, nothing happened, I'd never heard about. A criminal case has finally been opened, but that was just for the show. These are not isolated incidents, they are systemic. Defense Minister Andrei Belousov proudly, for some reason, announced that 96% of wounded soldiers are sent back straight back into the combat, effectively guaranteeing that once you sign that military contract, your odds of survival are close to zero. Only those in privileged volunteer battalions with fixed-term service have a chance. Those military formations are obviously usually filled with members of United Russia political party or Kremlin-approved elites who return home after, mere 5 months, medals in hand, and welcomed as true patriots. The rest, well, consider yourselves dead men walking. But it still gets even darker. In Ivanova and beyond, enlistment workers, so-called, are reportedly patrolling bars and shelters, looking for drunks and addicts. Once they have got a target drunk enough to forget his own name, they ship him off in a military-themed van, marriage certificate in hand, contract glossed over his head while he's passed out, and that's it, their job also done. Families wake up to find their brothers, fathers and sons declared missing in action, with a death notice arriving just mere weeks later. Social media posts from desperate relatives ask for any piece of information, only to have trolls mock them as grieving scammers. It is the conveyor belt of death and deceit, all sanctioned by the state itself. And meanwhile, Slavoj Life airs a special segment on how to spot a Black Widow or rescue your loved one by appealing to military prosecutors. But it never questions why signing a military contract is the equivalent of signing your own death warrant. They will stand against corruption and uniforms, but never touch the root cause. A government waging an illegal war of aggression when profiteering from its own body count. When a TV lawyer suggests cancelling scam marriages to prevent benefit theft, nobody raises the question of cancelling the service contracts themselves. Because even though it is immoral and inhumane, it is still profitable for those who are ready to forsake their own dignity. Well, there guys, if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to my channel for more videos like this. If you wish to support my work, there are links down below. Thanks so much for watching. See you tomorrow.
We won't succumb to their tricks, the facade they try to sell. Their twisted words and feeble claims on us all they cannot quell. We see through their lies, their feeble attempts to sway. We do not believe